Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Eden Zero, chapter 209. When we last left our heroes, the fight with Crow came to a deeply satisfying conclusion, as Holy was able to do major damage to Crow's control system, thanks to Clean's Ether Jammer Canceller being brought back on, and then just Cure escaped momentarily, so Holy and Jean left Crow, and the ship was almost able to slam its main cannon into Crow, but then it started regenerating, because that's what Cure does, it regenerates. And then Eraser and Feather, after they're sort of starting to piece together what's going on with Cure, in the previous chapter, showed up to clear open the way. Eraser erased the part of Crow hiding his main core. Feather helped the Eden Zero map out a trajectory for that final blast. And Hermit, controlling the main cannon, destroyed Crow. Seemingly Cure as well, but I'm a little bit more skeptical as to whether or not Cure is fully gone. He's just like too big a concept to just sort of disappear. And so everyone celebrated, except for Shiki, because we cut back to the Shiki-Ziggy fight, and Shiki's just getting crushed by Ziggy, until Pino steps in to reveal that, to be right about to reveal that little, the plan she has to stop Ziggy, but we still don't find out what that was. So with that said, let's dive right on into chapter 209, Renewed Time. Our picture here is of Sister and Moscow as, like, classical delinquents. I love Moscow and his, like, little pompadour and, like, the drawn-on bit of beard. It's really funny. But we pick up not with the Ziggy stuff, but in the aftermath of Crow's death, as we see, like, the giant crater where Crow blew up. As Connor announces, we did it! And Moscow is just, Moskoy! But Hermit stops them all. Wait, we're not out of the woods yet. The Union Army's still here. But Eraser comes on the line. Don't worry, we're not here to fight you. Not today, anyway. I'm glad they have, common sense. That, like, Shiki and the gang could be allies here, and they are, like, willing to allow for that. Even if, Justice is not that kind of person, at least Eraser and Feather are. And Feather notes, I have confirmed the eradication of Dead End Crow, aka Cure. So now they've, we officially know that Eraser and Feather know about the Crow-Cure connection. I mean, I figured they worked that out by the time they had arrived last chapter, but, it's nice to know. Though that seems to imply that Cure is fully dead. I'm still skeptical. If Cure had initially hid his presence from Feather anyway, I don't see why, right? Wasn't that part of what had happened? I don't see why he can't have still done it here. I don't know. We'll see. And Holy notes, you knew who Cure really was? But Eraser, that would have been bad if they had known the whole time. But Eraser tells her, we only just found out. And Feather notes, the members of Oración Seis Interestelar have never met in person. Our councils are always held online, and during joint operations, we've only spoken via comm channels from our individual ships. I never had an interest in my allies' locations until today. Oh, okay. So, she could have found out at any time. She just never looked in. Feather, that's kind of dumb. That's really shitty of you. It's not that Cure can, defend against her Eye of Venus. It's just Feather never bothered to check up on him. And Eraser notes, but during this joint operation, she realized that Cure's ship was unmanned. Cure's location shared the exact same coordinates as Crow's. And it always has, for 13 years. So I guess she can look back into the past, too, with that, if she can go back for 13 years. And Laguna, who is just hearing this for the first time, notes, so you're saying the whole time this Cure was in the government army. He was also Dead End Crow? And Clean is just, that makes no sense. Which, is a fair reading of Cure's motivations. He was very much a nut job. And Jean then mentions, but he's been working with someone who has the same power as Noah. You know exactly where everyone is. How did he manage not to get caught for more than a decade? And Feather just says, that was a failure on my part. But Eraser comments, come on guys, let's not blame Feather. None of us figured it out. That makes us all stupid. And Feather is just like a little unhappy there. Stupid. Besides, Cure had taken steps to prevent Feather from finding him. But when Holy busted him up from the inside, she yanked off his camouflage shields. Okay, so there was more to it than just Feather's negligence. I guess that makes it a little better. And Holy takes that information in. But Feather then goes on, yes, but it was still because of my negligence. It was my fault for taking no interest in my friends. And that's a very loaded Hiro Mashima line. As Hermit calls out, taking no interest. Then can you really call them your friends? And Feather is just sort of looks a little sad about that. The exact details we don't really know. I don't know, like, the Cure reveal felt like it was going to upend a lot of what we knew about the army, and then seemingly, unless Cure is somehow still not dead, still hiding somewhere, it looks like this is sort of it for Cure. And so I'm really curious what sort of long-term ramifications this is going to have. Because, like, Cure's only really been an active player in the story for about, like, 3 chapters before he dies. So it's all a little interesting to me. I don't know. A lot to see. Words. I don't know why I am struggling to, like, find words today. But it's something to keep an eye on with the Interestelar going forward. Because, I don't know. I'm just curious how Mashima is going to sort of tie all this together. Anyway, Eraser stops this. Anyway, we can talk all we want about Cure later. Right now, we have to do something about Act Noella. That swarm of dragons running amok out here is getting out of hand. I think this is Eraser and Feather flying off. Holy, back me up. You too, Eden Zero. But Hermit tells him, it's going to take some time before we get our ship flying straight again. But okay, we owe you for helping us after all. And we see that Eden Zero has landed, but is like trying to make repairs. And then Sister comes on the line. Homer's warrior maid Night Gear is back, and you won't believe what she brought with her. Get to the hangar now. Okay, you can tell her, Hermit. Tell her, Sister. You don't have to make it you won't believe what she brought with her. But we all know. It's the mothers. Specific 5 of them. I think the first one we see is Wise's mom, or I don't think that's Saintfire. Yeah, because then we see Kurenai, a couple more women we don't recognize, and then Nox. And Connor's just, what be I seeing here? Bared naked ladies? And Hermit just bops him. Ugh. And Homer tells them all, I will explain later. First, take these women. But right, because Hermit revealed, because we knew from earlier on that Hermit was listening into the conversation there. I was listening. I know all about it. I forget, were they listening into the Shiki Ziggy stuff or just to the stuff in the mother room? I think they heard the Shiki Ziggy stuff too, right? I don't quite recall. But anyway, Homer takes that in. Then I shall return to Rebecca and the others. Be careful. And the Rutherfords arrive. Jean looks at the tubes. Hey, what is this? And we see, one of them is, it was Mama Rutherford and Mama Husert they took in. Because Clean looks at her, Mother? And Moskoy just reacts, Mos! But Jean takes another look. Wait, you mean our mother? But our mother, I thought she was gone. And then Laguna sees his own mom. Mum. Has Laguna been British this whole time? Have I just not noticed that Laguna is British? I'm ignoring that information. Laguna is not British in my heart, okay? But she was dead. How? And Hermit tells them all, there's also Wise's and Homer's mothers. Ziggy's been collecting dead mothers. Talk about massively sick hobbies. Yeah, it is fucked up. And then we also see Connor in particular. We get this whole panel of Connor just like sweating bullets. As he looks at Nox and recognizes her. Rachel? What? Okay, so was Nox not her original name? Hermit tells him that is Rebecca's mother. She's the only one who's still alive. Oh, don't tell me we're to find out that Connor is Rebecca's dad or something. No, because we learned about Connor's daughter. Connor's daughter died by the hands of the Nero Empire, right? right? It's been a while since that arc. But Connor just looks over her. What are you doing here? And Laguna questions, you know her? And before we get answers about that, Sister comes stomping up. Out of my way. We're getting her to the infirmary stat. No, wait. She'd be... And Sister fills in, your wife, I know. Oh, wait, no, we're not actually going into... Connor isn't actually Rebecca's dad. Is he? That is such an out of left field twist. And that stuns everyone. What? Huh? But that would mean... And Hermit does put it together. Connor is Rebecca's father. Okay. I hope we get a quick little flashback to what he had said about the dead daughter. Because I'm not quite sure how... Because, like, Rebecca's been abandoned since she was a child. So I don't know... No, hold on. It's not that his daughter was in that sort of proto-oasis we learned about. It was that Connor was, because his daughter had been taken by Nero, right? Was that it? I don't know why my brain is so foggy today, but I think that was it. And Connor's, failure to object confirms it for the crew. Jean reacts, what? You knew? But Clean attacks him. Attacks Herman, actually. Why didn't you tell her? We were waiting for Connor to tell her himself. And Connor just can't even look at them. But Sister stops him. Save it for after the battle. Right now, I'm gonna bring her back to life. You guys get the ship up and running. And Connor just still can't even look up. Rachel. Rebecca. And we cut back to Rebecca in the dead mom room. And Rebecca just looks up. Everyone here is someone's mother. If we go through with Operation Planet Eater, but why stop so? We already talked about this. Which, yeah, like, it still is a heavy thing, and it's perfectly understandable that Rebecca is, like, still very unconfident in this course of action. But, they have talked about this, as Wise points out. I know. On Happy Notes, I'm sad to say it, but they're all dead. And Ziggy's going to use them for evil. It'll be better to give them back to the stars. Which is a very sort of... It's a similar... Is that the same euphemism that Oasis used after the war when they had the whole celebration of life thing for everyone who died in the battle? Because, that was literally, like, sending the representation of their spirits into the heavens, right? Whereas here is just sort of erasing their bodies from history. But it works as a euphemism. Give them back to the stars. That's a nice way of putting it. But she's still sort of lost in thought. But why is my mother the only one? And Wise points, when all the others are dead? Is that what you're thinking? No, I mean... and Wise tells her, I don't know about Jean and them, but Homer and I both got to spend time with our mothers, even if it wasn't much. You didn't get that, Rebecca. Maybe the universe is telling you to make that time now. Which is, time with our mothers is an interesting thing to say about Homura, whose mom very much tried to kill her. But I see his point. And Rebecca just thinks, time with my mother. And then we leave them there. Rebecca's still increasingly unconfident in Planet Eater. But we cut back to Pino, who is still defending Shiki. As Shiki tries to get up, Pino, and he just falls over. And Ziggy just looks at Pino, not intimidated at all by this, little 6-inch robot girl. But Pino tells Shiki, Master Ziggy was hacking into me to collect information about us. What? But he left a data trail behind him. And Ziggy pushes back. A data trail? Me? I would never be so careless. Oh, this is going to tie into the Elsie thing. What Elsie pointing out about still believing the good Ziggy is in there. I think it might have been some vestige of that good Ziggy that left Pino this option. You left me the key to defeating you. But Shiki reacts, what are you talking about? Ziggy wouldn't just hand us his own weakness. And then he thinks back to his own thoughts. I think from the aftermath of this fight with Wizard, do you think maybe Ziggy knew he was going to go crazy? And Shiki realizes maybe he would. Or there might be Pino's line, as Pino starts her battle. EMP, activate! But Ziggy just tells her, you know that won't work on me. And Pino then tells him an electronic pulse set to follow a certain algorithm at a specific frequency. This is the key you gave me. And is she overdriving? Is Pino fucking overdriving? Ziggy is shocked at what he sees. And yeah, she does overdrive. Becoming like getting like angel wings. She does not become like I thought it'd be a bit of a callback to her Digitalis design. But no, she's still a little chibi. Just with like angel wings and like a new robe that has what look like ether lines. Ziggy reacts, overdrive. And Shiki reacts, Grandpa put that inside Pino to stop himself. Exactly. Master Ziggy still has his old personality inside him. That personality unlocked my memories. Oh, Pino's memories are back. And Ziggy faces the full weight of that EMP wave. You used to be my kind Master Ziggy. And this might be Ziggy doing an act to like make him seem on the back leg and then just like, you know, drive the knife in of the destruction of hope. But he also looks to be in a lot of pain here as Pino screams, "Please go back to who you were." And then the pulse ends, the dust settles. Pino and Shiki look on at Ziggy, and Ziggy breathes heavily. And then tells her, good job, Pino. It worked. And he's out of his overdrive form. Okay. That worked? Ziggy, in quotes, is asleep for now. This is our only chance. Kill me. And that is where the chapter ends. Okay. So there's a whole lot going on here. I do think next chapter, now that Pino has her memories back and Ziggy and like the good Ziggy is back in consciousness, I do think we are going to see I think the next chapters or so, next chapter or chapters are going to focus on what happened here, cuz like there are so many things that are dropped in this chapter with Pino, with Ziggy, also with Connor and Rebecca and Knox, but that I think is going to be a little later. I think, you know, I don't think we'll get any of that information until after the battle, until at least, I think Rebecca will be there to learn about her parentage with Connor. Whereas I think what we're going to see next is Ziggy, because now that Grandpa, I guess we should call him, as the good Ziggy specifically refers to his evil self as just Ziggy, I'm guessing this is either we should call him like Future Shiki or Grandpa or something, something besides just Ziggy. You know, either him or Pino. He or Pino are going to be the ones who tells Shiki what the hell is going on here, because, you know, all those questions back in Ziggy's flashback, we don't really get the answers to. We don't get why Ziggy, you know, how Ziggy went from being, my job is to save humanity, to save androids, to let's wipe out humanity, even knowing what that will eventually lead to. So I think I think like this feels like the point where we're going to learn more. We might not. It might be a little later. I don't know. But I do feel like this is the moment where it's like, okay, it's time to find out what the hell is going on here. Because the fact that, like, Ziggy does have this kind of split personality thing, a specific EMP wave that only shuts out Ziggy's dark side, you know, it's time for us to find out what the fuck is what happened to make Ziggy like this. But yeah, I love Pino's overdrive form. Like, that is just so neat looking. And like, I'm, you know, one of the things I think is always very impressive with Hiro Mashima in general. And it's not as big a deal as in here as it was in like Fairy Tail with its giant cast. But Mashima, while a lot of manga authors tend to, as a, they'll like, I'm thinking about like Naruto, how that starts with a very expansive cast and all of them get things to do not all of them, Kishimoto is not great at writing women, but like a good number of his cast get good character arcs, get stuff to do in the story. Look at Sasuke Retrieval, where like Neji and Choji and Lee and Shikamaru and Kiba all get these big showcase fights. And then as Naruto goes on, it's just Naruto. Naruto and Sasuke, and that's sort of the only two people who are really involved in the most important things. I guess there's a bit of a change back into that there's like moments occasionally where more minor characters get stuff to do, but like as it goes on, it's just Naruto and Sasuke. As opposed to Fairy Tail, where you have characters like the strongest member of Alvarez and August, who a good chunk of his defeat is at the hands of Kana. Gildarts too, but also Kana is instrumental in that fight. And it's one of the talents of Mashima as a writer is that he's always able to keep all of these seemingly minor characters important. And we see that here with Pino. Because Pino is not a character I expected to be, like, instrumental in defeating Ziggy. Like, and she's still, like, this plan might still lead to failure. Even when she revealed she had the way to defeat Ziggy, I still thought, like, it would fail. That it would maybe give something of a hint to a true solution, but it would fail. But if everything works out here, and I doubt it will work out perfectly well, because I think that Shiki killing Ziggy in his good form could, like, make for some very good drama in the lines of, like, Gray Silver. I think killing the main villain like that is just a little anticlimactic. I mean, sure, I don't think he'll be the permanent main villain. Like I've said, I don't think he's going to be the final main villain of the series, but still, getting rid of who has been your big bad for over half the series run while he's just, like, not alive. I don't know, it could work. If Mashima really minds the drama of Shiki having to kill his grandfather, it could work. But also, I'm not sure as the route Mashima is going to go. Either way, I do love the inclusion of Pino being so important here. It's a Mashima staple, giving his minor characters important work to do, but it's always good. Anyway, back to the other stuff. Because that was a lot of this retrospective focus on the last, like, 5 pages. So we get a lot of it. So we open with sort of the aftermath of the crow fight, which my questions are still sort of there. We don't get a lot more information about that after my long pondering of where Mashima is going with the Interestelar. Because, like, I don't know, it felt like Kyor was going to be a recurring villain. And he still might be. He still might be, like, kicking somewhere. I don't know. And yet, the narrative treats this like it's already over. And there's just this weird vibe around the Interestelar, which is fair, I suppose, given what's happened to them. But it still is just kind of weird, I don't know. I'm still curious where Mashima is going with that. I imagine we'll see more of them in this Akinoella fight, especially once they reunite with Justice and Elsie. And then, of course, we get the Connor, Rebecca, Rachel reveal. And so I don't really know. Like, I don't know. I started to go back to that earlier scene about being part of that proto Oasis and what his motivations were exactly, so I can sort of look at that and see how the daughter being Rebecca lines up with his character. So I'll probably go take a look at that once this video's done. But it's quite the reveal. It's not as much to, like, really dig into, as at this point, it's just kind of, like, it is, like, based in character work, in, like, it recontextualizes Connor, but, like, the person it would really affect is Rebecca, and Rebecca does not know yet. So we can't really get into that juicy character work as, like, as much as we could once Rebecca gets there. And Rebecca will come back, and I imagine, after the battle, as Sister says, is when we'll get all the information about Connor and Rachel and Rebecca. Though, save it for after the battle is a classic death flag, so maybe we won't. Who knows? And then we get the short little Rebecca Wise scene, as Wise provides some, like, good comfort to Rebecca about the fact that the weirdness of her mother being the only one alive is like, hey, don't worry about that. You know, maybe there are, like, just sometimes you can just accept a gift and not be super cautious about it. Now, given, you know, Ziggy and everything about Ziggy, maybe that's not the best move, but it's one of those things that feels human. I love that we slowed down for a couple pages to just sort of, you know, this is not something that Rebecca can just brush off. This is a big deal to her. Both the weight of Planet Eater and the reunion with her mother are not minor things. But yeah, and then we have the Ziggy stuff, and I can't wait to see what comes of that. So all in all, there's just a lot of shit to dig into here with the truth of Rebecca's parentage, with whatever's going on with Interestelar. It's a really human conversation with Wise and Rebecca, and Ziggy and Pino and all that good shit. And I just can't wait to see where Mashima is going to take all of this next. So with that said, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you'll enjoy the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe or, you know, do whatever makes you happy, you know? And as always, your life is your own, okay? Bye!